All right. I hope you can indeed hear me, and I hope indeed that you will ignore any background noises going on behind you. Uh, Whatever you hear, do note that it is definitely not the sound of dishes. They are definitely the sound of alien interference from the planet Zarthu from Beta 6 Omega 9 or something like that. So, either way, how are you doing today? Pause for an answer. Well, I'm sure you're doing great out there. Had a good day myself. Uh, I apologize for not coming on yesterday. I went to the hospital. Do not worry. I was there for 4 hours. I may or may not have injured my neck doing something somehow. And currently, a lymph node is inflamed. Ice packs and ibuprofen, or wait, not heating pad, the complete opposite. Heating pads and ibuprofen. Yeah, that's apparently how this thing's gonna get fixed. But I'm sure soon enough I'll be right as rain again and everything. So I do, yeah, I do apologize. Yesterday I just kind of lazed around and kind of gave up. I started planning my last wishes and everything. Hey, I didn't know. How was I supposed to know that I was going to make it through yesterday? Well, now I know I made it through to today, so everything's back to normal. Pretty much. So either way, the topic of this is pretty much self-explanatory on as in the title. I have no clue if that thing's gonna last us an entire 50 minutes or hour or so, somewhere around there, but we'll at least see if it does get us somewhere. Well, okay, where do you even start off? Well, I've been watching this thing ever since I was Batavi lad with the pretty basic stuff that everyone ends up getting into. Dragon Ball Z or whatever, Dragon Ball, whatever version they were on that back then. Naruto. My mom would occasionally get these box sets of Naruto that the library had, and she'd bring them home for me to watch. And I never completely got the whole story of Naruto until like much later, when Kiss Anime came out, which was 2012, but we'll leave that for then. And I had always like gotten kind of like the gist of everything that had gone on in Naruto, but I never understood like 100% because I was missing information. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that was that. Everything kind of went smoothly like that. Occasionally, she'd find some oddball ones out there, and I did watch those too. Like I also ended up watching a couple episodes of something called Welcome to the town of a fucking Rave Master. There we go. It's the dude who did Fairy Tail before he did Fairy Tail, and before he did Eden Zero, which is a complete ripoff plagiarism of Fairy Tail. I've never seen anything like it before in my life. I've never imagined plagiarizing myself and doing the same shtick again. I did not know that it was even an opportunity. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. Saw Rave Master, and I can see the heavy inspiration he ended up getting for Fairy Tail off of it a little bit. The dude's style has been consistent since Rave Master. You can say that, consistent. Yeah, so got into a couple episodes of that. Also, that's kind of when I started growing an Inuyasha collection, where there's this place. I'm not entirely sure if it's still around or not, or maybe it's just a complete figment of my imagination, although I'm pretty sure that it does exist. It's called Super A Foods. Have you ever heard about it? Well, Super A Foods did not also have only, food. Super A Foods also, for some reason, also had DVDs. And yeah, they had a DVD basket, and in that basket, I saw this thing called Inuyasha. Uh, yeah, and they would sell them like by the individual discs, and I think it was like 3 or 4 episodes in a disc. So yeah, my mom and I just kind of like every time we go there together, we'd sort of hunt through the basket of discs and just kind of find everything that we did not have at that moment in time for Inuyasha. And I gotta say, those were kind of some of the best times I've kind of had with my mom. Just trying to find. Okay, maybe that sounds bad. I swear, it's a lot better than it sounds initially. Uh, it was just more of a simpler time, and my mom and I just used to do little stuff like that, and I think it just brought me kind of a little bit of happiness back then. I don't know. It seems to be like for me, it was a small thing, but looking back on it now, that thing kind of means that little thing means a lot to me right now. Just because my mom took the time out of going shopping and spending more time at the market, just hunting around for these Inuyasha DVDs and everything. Don't worry, I've got my water right here. Let me procure a drink. Got my ibuprofen. It's not the on-brand stuff because the on-brand stuff is always significantly more expensive. So either way, yeah, my mom and I were fans of Inuyasha. We had a good amount of them, and most of the time we ended up seeing the conclusions and everything of what would happen, you know, in the episodes and like arcs and everything. So for us, we never exactly were missed an entire portion of it and everything. Like the one that really confused me the most, the first time I saw it was the one with the band of six or something. Let me look it up because I don't want to get it wrong. Inuyasha band. Oh, band of seven. Yeah, there we go. Yes, we watched the dub version. And I know dubbing for anime always gets a lot of flack and everything, but hey, my parents like it, so god damn it. If they want to watch an anime with me and they have it in dub, then by God, they will get that in dub. So either way, yeah, the band of seven. There's this one character who uh, he was like hot. Oh no! And yeah, it's kind of like the first times I ever met an anime uh, trap. I'm gonna use that because that's the phrasing, the only phrasing I know of right now. So either way, yeah, it was the first anime trap I had ever encountered before. Uh, the guy's name was Jakotsu. It really looked like a girl, and I was a little kid, so I didn't understand or know any better. And yeah, I thought, I'm like, wow, that's a very pretty girl. I didn't get it. Hey, what was I supposed to do, eh? Yeah, sorry. I'm just using a heating pad at the same time while we're having our little conversation. Uh, yeah, so, yeah, that guy was kind of hot. And, yeah, so for there, we collected the DVDs, filling out the in-betweens that we had missed in the collection and everything. And then eventually we got to uh, getting a couple of the films. We got the second and the fourth one, but we never got around to, in-betweens and everything. And then eventually, Bleach came out, and we started getting those things from the library as well. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, every time they were gonna reach like a conclusion and everything, to like an arc or anything, like to see the culmination of what happens, the library never had the next one, so we always kind of missed like the end of one thing and the very beginning of another thing. So we just kind of had to like fill in the blanks and deduce what happened from the episode, uh, the recaps they do at the beginning of each episode. Yeah, that was a fun time, definitely. Uh, totally not tortured. Is it hot in here or is it just me? Nah, it's just me. Don't worry about that. You're not actually. Uh, yeah. So either way, yeah, and then eventually, so that's kind of like the origins of myself getting to anime, and starting to become an anime fan and everything. And then eventually, middle school time rolls around, and there's this new kid on the block, and yeah, he just transfers into my school district out of the blue and everything. And I'm like, yo, because he wears a Gears of War shirt on the first day of school, and you know how much Gears of War meant. Okay, maybe you don't, but Gears of War means a lot to me. It's like one of my favorite video games of all times. So yeah, he walks in with the Gears of War shirt. We're waiting in line for band class to start in order to get into class. And yeah, I told you I'm in band. What do you want? So yeah, we got into the line for band class, and then I look at his shirt, and I'm like, Gears of War? And he's like, yeah, Gears of War. I'm like, oh, you play? He's like, yeah, it's pretty fun. And then just from there, we ended up becoming best friends. And well, along the way, he may or may not have introduced me into the world of Yarhar Fiddly Dee. Being a pirate is all you can be. Do what we want and we do what we please, because we are pirates. And yeah, that just kind of started the whole an even deeper and darker descent into the madness that is called anime. And yeah, for the most part, it's been pretty fun. Okay, for every part, it's been fun. I can't lie. It's been great. And then eventually, yeah, somewhere in between that and before 2012. 2012 is a pretty significant date for me, at least, concerning anime. Uh, Partly because 2012 is a year that Kiss Anime, a pretty large website, I'd probably say, came out. And from there, you could watch a lot of anime on there. And yeah, I'd say that was a pretty momentous occasion. And yeah, and oh my god, I'm getting jumbled up in my words. But yes, before 2012 kicks off, my family and I end up getting the. Let me make sure because I don't want to mess up the. Uh, oh man. Yeah, there we go. So prior to 2012 and the introduction of Kiss Anime, we ended up getting and watching all of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and yeah, the thing is, we enjoyed the series so much, and we were just praying and hoping that the library had the next one, because you could only take so many things from the library at a single time. That was just like kind of the policy and everything with it, and yeah, we got lucky. We were always like, man, do they have the next volume for us to watch and everything? And yeah, they had it all, so we ended up watching all of it, enjoying it. And then, like I said, eventually 2012 rolls around, and my boy, Gears of War kid, ends up saying like, "Yo, I found this pretty neat website. You can watch a lot of anime on it." And I'm like, "Really? What's it called?" And yeah, he introduces me to what is formerly known as Kiss Anime. Uh, you may or may not be familiar with that name. It's an old name indeed. It came out 2012 and it just ended last year. Kind of a shame, really. If I remember correctly, it was due to copyright laws and everything, so they had to end up shutting themselves down. It's a shame because they were pretty cool. Gonna be not. I will not lie about Kiss Anime services. But the year Kiss Anime came out, the first anime I saw that was recommended to me was it may or may not have been slightly inappropriate for children to watch. It's called High School DxD. Are you familiar with it? If you are, then you know exactly where I am coming from. I'm sorry, Ma. I didn't mean to be this turn out this way, but I did turn out this way, and now we just gotta kind of roll with the punches. Yeah. So the first anime I ended up watching on Kiss Anime ended up being yeah, High School DxD, and then I ended up getting into High School of the Dead for obvious plot reasons. Yeah, I totally don't know what you mean. Uh, and then from there, I just kind of descended into the rabbit hole. I got into some older animes. Like, I eventually got around to watching Cowboy Bebop because everyone just kind of watches Cowboy Bebop eventually. And I decided, like, yeah, you know what? It's time for me to watch Cowboy Bebop. And yeah, I gotta say that was pretty good and everything. I kind of grew up on the site for a long, long time. Like, the thing is, I had gone on a trip with my friends somewhere, and you'll never know until, I don't know, maybe we get closer or something. So, either way, we continue on in our vacation, and then eventually, One Punch Man kind of came out a little bit before or during while the trip was going on, and Mr. Gears of War man had also told me like, you know what, man, we'll also kind of just like watch the episode that comes out this week together. Sound good to you? I was like, you damn right, man. I like me my One Punch Man because I had also just started watching it and it was pretty fun. And if you're curious, I am not of drinking age, so you don't have to worry about me being a honky tonky type of this turning into a honky tonky type of tale or everything. I've always been a very clean and good boy. Maybe too much. So either way, uh, yeah, animes I've seen great that were over the year that have just been pretty good and certainly kind of made it into my favorites have been stuff like I'm trying to remember off the top of my head because I don't have these things written down anywhere. So when I just kind of come up with it, that's what I have to deal with at that moment. Definitely 100% Gurren Lagann was definitely a big part of it. Gurren Lagann, if you're unfamiliar, was something that came out from the same studio that also did. I'm so sorry if this thing's kind of like clustered. This whole stock is scuffed. We're falling off the wayside now. No. They also made. God, it's right on the tip of my tongue as well. Well, the most recent thing they made, as far as I know, was Brand New Animal. It was pretty good. If you have the time, go watch it. Somewhere not on Kiss Anime. Unfortunately, Kiss Anime ended up having to shut down this year, last year, like I said, and now I have to kind of use different sources to scavenge whatever I can, like Nine Anime or yeah, Anime Go Go or Go Go Anime, some one of the two. So either way, yeah, anime's kind of been a part, and it's it's not exactly something that you just kind of get into and watch once or twice or something. You eventually get really into it, and yeah, for now we'll just stick with that description of it. Eventually, at some point in time, you end up getting into merchandise and keeping some of this stuff for the show because the show made that much of an impact on you and you ended up liking it a lot. But yeah, uh, the one anime that everyone's always told me to get into and watch was something called One Piece. I don't know. Maybe it's popular enough that you've heard of it before, but yeah. uh, by the time they told me to start watching it, there were already too many episodes that I could not dedicate myself to something of that length, that much length. Like now, I think it's like almost over 900 episodes. Yeah, it's just kind of like really weird and everything. And yeah, eventually I did get my parents into anime. The first one they ever saw, completely, by getting them reintroduced to it and getting my mom hooked on it, has been Assassination Classroom. Yeah, my friends and I were all over this one together. The writing was very solid. Each character had their own distinct personalities and their moment to shine and everything. So no one was kind of a throwaway character. Of course, some were not nearly as impactful in the story, but none of them were completely throwaways that you could just, that you only use as background noise and everything. So I was very, my parents enjoyed it for that fact. My father is more of the big brain anime watcher, so he watches more of that stuff. The whole "I've defeated you by outsmarting you" type of deal. Like, he really liked Lelouch of the Rebellion, and he was kind of sad when he died at the end. But he's like, but it was kind of the ultimate sacrifice at the end of it all. And I was like, but he died. But he's like, yeah, but you don't understand. You'd have to watch it. Yeah, and now my mom watches more anime than I do, so that's kind of fun. And anytime my friends ask about a new show, I just kind of ask them, my mom, I'm like, hey, Ma, have you seen this one? Tell me what it's about. And now I go to her for anime recommendations because she watches, like I said, significantly more than I do. I'm not entirely sure how this ended up happening, but yeah, I think it's just because normally she'd be watching other stuff, and now she does not watch other stuff. She used to watch other stuff like telenovelas, or the Vampire Diaries, or what's the one with the two Winchester brothers? Everyone likes it a lot for some reason. Don't they call that thing Supernatural? Yeah, she liked those initially, and then eventually she just kind of said, "Oh, they kind of got dull." So now, yeah, she's practically hooked on anime, and she watches so much of it that she doesn't remember a good amount of them because there's too much information, and she's no longer has any more memory space to keep all of this stuff and everything. Yeah, it's kind of weird. when you're the one that grows up on the stuff, anime, and eventually someone else in the household gets into it, particularly an adult, and then eventually the adult ends up surpassing you, and now they know more than you do. She's seen like a lot of stuff. Some of the stuff is so obscure or older, but she just manages to find them and watch them and everything. And then she's like, "Oh, you should watch Boys Over Flowers." I'm like, "What's Boys Over Flowers?" And she's like, "Oh, it's an anime." I'm like, "No, duh." But I go look it up online, and there it is, and it's like this old, or it's not recent, so I'd classify it as old and everything. So it's just kind of been like a trip to kind of see that, and she enjoys the stuff. So that's good for her and everything. It's nice that she's found something to actually keep busy and everything with, even though she does have no one. Well, she just kind of tells us, my father and I, the gist of it all, but there's never like or yeah, we never truly understand because none of us are watching it with her. But hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles and everything. So either way, moving on from that, some of the best anime I've ever seen would definitely include man, what would I include on a good anime list? Well, I did talk about Assassination Classroom, so I definitely qualify that as something that was good to watch and that I would recommend indeed. Assassination Classroom overall just kind of had a very nice tone to it. All the characters in the class, oh, sorry, were well written. Each of them eventually, even the smallest characters, like when I say smallest characters, I mean the ones that you think would just be like entirely a sideshow character and really have no impact, had at least some minor, change or something, realization, growth in personality and everything. And I don't mean like the way that critics say now growth is always something to do with like loss or being sad or something. I mean like it was just naturally a very good thing and everything. Good growth. And yeah, they just don't make them like they used to anymore. Well, I have no idea what I mean by that. It's just I just wanted to say it. I'm sorry. Uh, yeah, it's just kind of interesting to see anime evolve over the years, like from styles to genres getting popular. Like the not isekai brand has definitely grown significantly more popular within the recent couple of years and everything. And I know there's the whole argument of saying that isekais have always been there, and like, yeah, they've always been there, but now they've really gained prevalence and everything. They're so popular that everyone kind of makes them. And they got some of the jankiest titles too. Like when you read manga and everything, it's like I don't know. They just kind of get long and everything, and it's just weird. Like I'm gonna use the most popular examples. I don't mean to diss them, but I'm just saying that it's kind of funny that these names are so long. You know what I mean? Like that time I got reincarnated into a slime, or what is Konosuba? God's blessing on this wonderful world. Isekai, funny names. I guarantee you there are some reborn as a vending machine. Now I wander the dungeon. Because oh no, because I reincarnated as a succubus. I squeezed out milk. I was reincarnated as a hot springs in an alternate world, and I'm way too effective. Yeah, there are just some like outlandish stuff that has come out of it, and that's because it's gotten so popular. Even though some people, don't want to acknowledge it, or may not, or may have a disagreement about it, acknowledging it and just saying that, it just kind of happened. and those things have always been there. But yeah, they may have actually always been there, but they've just kind of erupted in size and marketing and gotten more into the public eye. So yeah, it's just kind of been weird to see that shift in tone and everything. So moving on. Uh, oh man. Do ignore the sounds coming from me that sound distressed. I'm perfectly fine. All right. So I think that's pretty much everything I've got to say about anime. I still keep up with them, although I certainly don't watch as much as I used to. I still watch a lot right now and everything, and caught up with like some of the more popular stuff or stuff I read as a manga and got interested in. And then, yeah, when it gets turned into anime, I definitely have to keep up with it and everything just to see how it turns out. Like, I'm surprised they turned Dorohedoro into an anime last year. It was just a surprise because Dorohedoro has been out for like a while, and to suddenly get an anime was just kind of weird and everything. Just because it's been so long since Dorohedoro finished, and out of the blue, it's like, yo, Dorohedoro anime, you gonna watch it? I'm like, damn right. So that's basically my growing up on anime, and we've eaten up about 30 minutes of your time. So, what other topic can I talk about as well? The top growing up on anime and films. Yes, films I can definitely talk about for a while, so we'll shift into that topic. Films, it's kind of the same. Films have even more of a prevalence to me than anime does, really. If I'm being 100% honest with you, I do enjoy anime, but films have just kind of been with me a lot longer and everything, and I've spent significantly more time with them. Probably, I don't know, maybe than I have with anime. Let's see, the first couple of films I remember watching as a kid were definitely The Nightmare Before Christmas, Starship Troopers, Big Trouble in Little China, Aladdin, The Scorpion King, and yeah, definitely some more movies than that, but those were just kind of like my favorite ones. I've seen Starship Troopers and what you call it, uh, Starship Troopers and Big Trouble in Little China so much that apparently my mom refuses to watch them now because we've seen them so much. And she's like, no, you've seen that too much when you were little. I don't want to watch it anymore. And I'm like, but Ma, they're good movies. And she's like, I know they're good movies, but we've seen them too much. And I'm like, but Ma, I was small. I was like over a decade, almost two. Nah, still won't budge and everything. Ah, I should like drink coffee or something before I do one of these live streams, because I always yawn way too damn much in this. So yeah, Starship Troopers. How does a like 3 year old kid end up getting into something like that? Well, you see, my father is kind of how would you call it? I wouldn't say he's a nerd, because nerds are nerds. Hmm. He's a film buff, I guess you could say. He's a classy man. The man's watched a good. He's a film enjoyer. That's how we'll label it. My pop has enjoyed film quite a lot. Well, no, duh. My dad's seen a lot of films, and he's just kind of passed that on to me. And he's introduced me to more and more every single, whenever he can think of one, and then he'll ask my mom if she can find the film at the library or something to show me, just so I can, say that I've seen it at least once in my life. And Starship Troopers was one of those first films that I ended up watching as a kid that I have a solid memory of. Yeah, Starship Troopers really isn't a movie that you should be showing to a kid, but I don't know. I guess I hit different than other kids, so I took that movie pretty well, and it's kind of turned me into the bug annihilator that I am today. I'm not a huge fan of bugs, both in real life and you know in video games. I certainly dislike bugs in my video games very, very not so much. So either way, yeah, Starship Troopers had it was one of my first films I ever saw, and I really enjoyed it. I think because back then I was just a kid, so the whole, you know, shooting and blood and guts thing just kind of stuck with me and everything. It really just kind of connected with me, I guess you could say. Yeah, I may or may not have seen a couple, adult people get torn to shreds in a fictitious movie. But hey, that's what did it for me. All you need to show me was a couple people getting chopped up, and I was probably fine with it as a kid. And they asked me why I come up with some outlandish ideas because he showed me a really kind of bonkers movie at such a young age that maybe you should not have, but I'm not gonna say no if we were to do it all over again. I enjoy them too much, and you can't just rip away what I know as pleasure. So yeah, Starship Troopers. How do I summarize this in a way that is simple? So basically, democracy fails. All of mankind turns into a military dictatorship. Uh, they want to go out conquer what you call it planets and stuff uh, that are inhabited by a bunch of aliens. Unfortunately, they think that most people would be against it because of well, war reasons and stuff. And in order to do that, they end up taking blaming. Now, this is a point where my father and I have a disagreement on. Uh, you see, in the movie, this one girl, one of the main characters, I think yeah, one of the main characters is out on her exam to go and join the pilots for the Federation and everything. And eventually, on this, training maneuver and everything, or early maneuver, whatever, she ends up crashing part of the ship. Or I'm not sure if it's her directly or if it's one of those people on the bridge end up crashing the ship, and an asteroid ends up hitting because, like I'm pretty sure they were going through the asteroid belt on this maneuver and everything, and the asteroid got knocked loose, and then the Federation. Here's the difference. Now I say that that's when the asteroid got hit out of orbit, and the Federation just took advantage of of a very very unfortunate accident and blamed it on the bugs. Now that's what I say, that the Federation definitely took advantage of the opportunity and used it to go to war, because that's my theory, that the Federation took this kind of thing and said, yo, because they make this thing where they say like the bugs shoot asteroids at us out of orbit and everything. But how? Now they have these plasma bugs that, shoot into the atmosphere and everything, but I don't know if that's like enough force to actually, you know, hit hit us. I still say it's too much of a coincidence, and that it was definitely the accident caused by the girl that ended up starting this whole movie. and giving the Federation a good enough reason to start a war against the bugs and everything. But my father says no and everything. On the surface level of the film, it's kind of like just this regular old action movie you get and enjoy and everything, just because it's good action and everything. But when you get older and you just kind of watch it, it also kind of brings up some of those heavy questions, I guess you could call it. Like, what if democracy really did fail? Is this the direction we're headed for? Where, quite possibly the government takes control of its own errors and everything, and it ends up, turning into this whole dictatorship and everything. It's a good movie and all with the action, but it also, when you could also just analyze it from a different perspective as you get older about I kind of, I guess you could point it out as a political standout or a warning. That's what I want to call it, a warning. And yeah, that's just is kind of something that I noticed later on, like behind all the action and everything and the funny little "Would you like to know more?" stuff. It's kind of a dark universe. Nobody's exactly free and everything. Like in the third movie, there's an argument between some farmers and the soldiers, and the soldiers end up all getting hanged and everything, along with the hero. God, what's his name? The hero of the Federation, Mark. Starship Troopers. No, I'm pretty sure it's Marco, isn't it? Cast. Johnny Rico. There we go. Why was I getting Marco? Whatever, man. Let's just move on. So, yeah, that's kind of like the thing that my father and I have a slight disagreement about. Was it actually, you know, this whole thing of being, uh, planned and everything, or was it really the bugs? I say that it was maybe not planned, but they certainly took advantage and shifted blame. My father still says it was the bugs. So yeah, that's a pretty good movie to show to a kid when he's 2 or 3. And now another film that also ended up scaring me away from the horror genre for like a good amount of years because I got nightmares about it was A Nightmare Before Elm Street. I'm sure you're familiar with the title of the film. Uh, yeah, the whole Freddy Krueger knives for hands and everything. Oh well, I guess we'll leave that for another one. Unfortunately, I gotta get going. So I'll see you guys later then. I hope you all have a good one, and I'll see you on the other side of the day, folks. Sorry for cutting this short. Sorry. Adios.